Hi friends, welcome back to the Scapegoat Club. My name's Jess, this is Jack, and this video we're going to talk about what happens when our narcissistic siblings turn our parents against us. It's a big one, so stay tuned. Hi friends, welcome to the Scapegoat Club. If we haven't met yet, my name's Jess. As I said, this is the lovely Jack. I am a therapist, a coach, and I grew up in what I believe is a very narcissistic household. And in this video, I'm going to address that awful situation where we have a narcissistic sibling who turns our parents against us. It's really painful. It's incredibly, incredibly difficult. It's heartbreaking. So if you are going through this, if there's one thing you take from this video, please be kind to yourself. Please take care. And this situation can be very confusing as well as mentally exhausting. It can feel like there's a huge amount at stake. There can be a lot of collateral damage in terms of potentially our own families and our own children and extended families, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews. It's such a difficult thing to navigate. So I want to talk about 5 basic ideas to think about when you're going through this, to try and cut through some of the what's happening, how shall I feel. Let's bring it back to a few very, very core basic ideas that you can ground yourself in and try and move through this. So the first idea I want to float is that although it can feel like a huge betrayal and we've lost an ally, a friend, a brother, a sister, a sibling who's been with us no matter what, I want to reframe that and say that we never had them to begin with. Because somebody that does this type of thing, somebody that would deliberately try and sabotage or successfully sabotage our relationship with our parent, such a fundamental human relationship, somebody that will do that for their own gain. It's not someone that has our best interests at heart. It's not someone that can understand how to have a relationship. And we can really lament this idea that we've lost somebody who is such an integral part of who we are. A sibling is that. But that's the key thing in this. It's an idea of who they were. It's not the reality of who they were, because they were never that person to begin with. A narcissistic sibling is fundamentally a narcissist before they're a sibling. And so it's kind of a really tough pill to swallow. It's a really difficult truth to metabolize and to really understand. But when we can get that, when we can start to understand that this is what we're dealing with, it's a narcissistic sibling, they don't understand kindness, empathy, compassion, then we can hopefully start to reframe it and think about, yeah, I'd love to have a great sibling in my life, a supportive person that I can share and we can lean on. We can have those family gatherings and we can help each other with raising our kids. Yeah, but if that's not who they are, fundamentally, if they're lacking those qualities, then I think it's a really important thing to consider that potentially those aren't people that we want close to our families, to ourselves, and close in our lives. And on a similar vein, again, so incredibly hard, but very important to think that if your parent is ready, so ready to believe somebody else's lies about you, about us, then that says a lot about their ability to parent, their ability to be able to see us for who we truly are and to have that loving connection that really nothing, it all takes a huge amount to shake. I can see there may be a carve out here for a parent who, for example, is potentially going through some kind of dementia and is unable to process and think straight in that situation. And if a sibling is taking advantage of that, that's even more scary, terrifying, and horrific, in my opinion. And so I genuinely hope that that isn't happening. If it is, then for me it ups the ante of I need to distance myself from this sibling because this is so unsafe. But let's just say in general, our parents have the ability to make the decisions, to think about what they believe and whose opinions they take into consideration. If they're not going to listen to us, if they're going to choose someone else's truth or opinion and they're willing to believe the worst in us, then again, it's a horrible thing to realize, but they aren't going to be that supportive no matter what kind of parent that we want and we all deserve in our lives. That person that's going to have our back pretty much, through thick and thin. Yeah, they're not going to let us get away with everything, but they're going to look for the best. When someone has a smear campaign against us, a family member, a sibling, it's awful. And the fact that we have other people in our lives who would readily jump on that bandwagon and believe it and or keep that smear campaign going, it's just not what kind, loving, healthy families do. And so again, we can feel that we're losing everything, but is it of the reality of what we're losing or just an idea and a fantasy of what we always wanted but we've never had? The third thing I'd remember in this situation is that your narcissistic sibling is acting from a place of jealousy, spite, greed, or general nastiness. They're not coming from any moral place where anything that they say has weight or is something that you really need to consider. Someone that's going to sabotage another person's relationship with their parent is just they're playing dirty and it's nasty. And I think it's very important, again, that we remember that and we don't get sucked into whatever the story is, whatever the lies are, whatever the thing it is we're supposed to have done. We don't want to play that game. There's no point, because it's just so untrue, irrelevant, and demeaning that once we get into it, we almost kind of start giving it some kind of credibility, and we just don't want to do that. It's not worth it. So remembering that whatever this they're saying, it doesn't have merit and they're not coming from a good place, and we do not have to feel bad about ourselves, which is something they want us to do. They want to try and put us down and tap into our lack of confidence or our questioning ourselves. No, we're not going to go there. We know where we are. We know what we've done and what we haven't done. We know we're not perfect, but we also know that what they're saying is completely inappropriate, wrong, and destructive. So let's not even get in the ring for that fight. Along those lines, I would also say when we're dealing with an overbearing sibling, we need to remember that whatever the family dynamic is, whether they're older, younger, whether they were more dominant, less dominant, we do not need their support. We do not need their approval. We do not need their input into our lives. And there's a lot of grief and sadness that comes around this realization. Again, we might have to let go of that idea of what our family could look like, or what we wish it had looked like, or what our friends have, or we see in the movies, or what our partner has, or what we want our kids to have. We don't need those things. Yes, it would be lovely to have an aunt and uncle who are great adult role models that our kids can learn from as well. But let's put it in context. If someone is deliberately trying to ruin our relationships, that is really, it's just such a breach of human decency, that they are not people that we want around our kids, they're not people we want around our partners, and they are absolutely not people that we want around ourselves when we want to live our best lives, when we want to not hurt people, when we want to support people, when we want to act with compassion and kindness and love. So we do not need our siblings if this is the kind of crap that they're going to play. And the last point I want to say is that I truly believe that karma exists, especially for narcissists. And if you feel that you are genuinely being cut off from a loving parent, and it's been so skillfully done and so manipulated, and your parent is kind of loving and you're losing that relationship, I honestly believe that at some point karma will come back and the narcissist will be exposed, and the rights will be, the wrongs will be righted. It will be temporary and things will come back. I just don't believe that, well, I've seen it. Narcissists leave a trace. They let themselves down. Eventually things catch up with them. It's not a secret. They can't keep up these lies and meanness forever, because even when they find a new person and they're all sweetness and light and they get people on their team, eventually they get bored and they start messing with those people as well, and then they do come unstuck. And so I genuinely believe, and I really hope, that these lies do become exposed for what they are, and when the people that genuinely love us, they will come back to us. Friends, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for spending some time. If you liked the video, comment, like, subscribe. If you're interested, I do individual coaching, so check out my website for that. I've got a blog too. Thank you so much for being here. Please take care, and I will see you again soon for another Scapegoat Saturday. Bye for now.